Part 101. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1040. Adapting to the Dark Knight, after the Chinese Elf Alliance issued the first-level response to the advent of the reverse world, the vast majority of trainers, during the preparation period, stayed up day and night, just for this moment. The reverse world is coming. Sweet dream god, where are my brother and the others? Where have my brother and the others gone? Yang Xiao woke up from his sleep. After a burst of hurried footsteps outside Mount Everest, the sound gradually began to calm down. Most of the Elf Alliance trainers stationed near Mount Everest are young people. When faced with a situation they have never encountered before, although there are old people in the team constantly commanding them not to be nervous, more or less, they will influenced by fear. The sky did not fall. He should come into contact with the reverse world. Cressalia's expression was extremely complicated. She already knew that Darkrai went to Dialga's time world again. Finally able to return safely, Cressalia could not imagine what Darkrai had gone through inside. Dialga did not like other elves to intrude into his territory. What's more, there are still thousands of years of grudge between Darkrai and Dialga. Reverse the world? Gardwar, Magic Wall Doll, we can finally go find Jengar. Yang Xiao packed his backpack immediately. A lot of food was prepared in the Magic Wall Doll super storage space, and at the same time, there were also necessary clothes. After all, the Magic Wall Doll is still. It turned into a tool doll. Whoops, whoops, whoops. The sound of elves flapping their wings can be heard in the sky above Mount Everest, and the wind blown by the fans causes tornado-shaped snowflakes to form around them. Who dash? When the elf's appearance appeared in front of everyone at the foot of Mount Everest, all the trainers couldn't help but feel excited. Kuai Long. King-level elf, Kuai Long. Is the dragon messenger King Xia coming? However, what was beyond everyone's imagination was that not far behind this king-level fast dragon, there was a figure flying with wings. Under the dark night, it was almost exactly the same as the former figure. Obviously, another fast dragon was coming. Two heavenly king-level dragons. Wait a minute, the person on the back of the fast dragon in the back, is he the dragon messenger? Then whose elf is the king-level fast dragon in the front? It's the king-level dragon in the secret realm of the East China Sea Dragon Palace. You may not know that King Xia Tian's dragon is the descendant spirit of the dragon in the East China Sea Dragon Palace. The older trainers in the Everest Guardian team recognized the origin of the former. Look, there is no trainer on the back of the fast dragon in front, but King Xia Tian's fast dragon is following behind. In our country of China, only the fast dragon from the secret realm of the East China Sea Dragon Palace has such treatment. So that's it? The Everest area is the roof of the world in the Elven world. There is no place closer to the reverse world than Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the best area to observe the reverse world. Immediately, Xia's Hepeng led many gym-level trainers to rush here, and Kuai Long, who was in the secret realm of the East China Sea Dragon Palace, couldn't wait to go to the legendary reverse world. Xiao Yu, where is Yang Yu? Xia's Hepeng, who knew Yang Yu's residence, found that only Yang Xiao and her elf were here, without Yang Yu, and asked nervously and curiously. Yang Xiao was speechless for a moment and could only point to the sky quietly. The top of Mount Everest? I didn't see salted fish on the top of Mount Everest. Wait, Yang Yu went directly to reverse the world. This brat. How could Xia's Hepeng not be anxious? How much does Yang Yu know about the reverse world? Going to the reverse world so recklessly, isn't this the act of a reckless man who has lost his mind? Exploring a world where the Dark Dragon King Giratina lives, if you are not prepared, what is this other than looking for death? How big is the reverse world? If Yang Yu lost himself in the reverse world, it would be a huge loss to China. Why is this kid Yang Yu so clueless at such a critical moment? At this moment, a dazzling purple light seemed to flash on the top of Mount Everest. When the extremely clear body of the giant Gyarados and the slow king emitting golden light appeared in front of everyone, Xiaozhepeng thought for a long time. The curse has calmed down a little. Summer King. Yang Yu, where have you been? This reverse world is coming, so you can't mess around. Do you know how dangerous it is? Xiaozhepeng's words rushed out like a machine gun. Yang Yu couldn't answer the call for a while, but he felt very warm in his heart. The concern of King Xia, when the reverse world came, made Yang Yu realize that he had returned from the world of time. Brother, what's wrong with you? Yang Xiao keenly discovered that there was always a superpower lingering around brother Yang Yu, as if he was supporting brother Yang Yu to stand up. This feeling seemed to be. What happens after using the Z move? Yang Yu, did you use Z move? Xiaozhepeng looked serious and asked nervously in a low voice. What happened here just now? How could Yang Yu suddenly disappear and then return here after a large-scale teleportation? At the same time, Darkrai and Cresselia were also having a similar conversation. The important point was Yang Yu. Darkrai, what did you say? You defeated Dialga. Darkrai nodded, then shook his head. Dialga still had some strength left in the end. If we insist on the final result, it was the human trainer Yang Yu who shocked Dialga. Under Cresselia's shocked eyes, Yang Yu just shook his head. Nothing, I found a place to temporarily train and activate the Z movement with super attributes. For a moment, Xiaozhepeng was filled with emotion. He looked deeply at Yang Yu in front of him. Only Yang Yu knew the secret here, but Yang Yu didn't want to tell it, and Xiaozhepeng didn't ask any more questions. If it's training Super Z moves, how could there not be such earth-shattering and shocking superpowers around Mount Everest? Yang Yu, if you want to enter the reverse world, you must pay attention to your own safety. This is a space-level rescue capsule prepared by our Elf Alliance. After all, the reverse world has similarities with outer space. I hope you can safely exit the reverse world. Return from around the world. Through the transfer of the super space, an extremely heavy equipment item was added to the dull space. This is a device that Yang Yu has never seen before. Perhaps it is the highest level of survival equipment. I know that there will be many young people who will yearn to enter the reverse world. Likewise, nothing can stop you, but you must pay attention to safety. In the reverse world, our King of China is always ready to enter. The reverse world is preparing for rescue, but you, Yang Yu, Yang Xiao, must come back safely. How many difficulties and bumps will there be in the road ahead? You won't know until you leave. King Summer, we will. Yang Yu solemnly squeezed Xiaozhepeng's hand. Black hair, white hair. It's like the two worlds of the elf world and the reversal world at this moment. Xiao Yu, Kui Long. Coming. Hu dash. Yang Yu felt that there was a heavy responsibility on his shoulders. Under the black night, the scarlet that lights up the night sky is an incomparable miraculous color. Goal reverse the world. Pokémon's character master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1041. Brother, is this the reverse world? It turns out that the night sky here is so beautiful. Yang Xiao followed Yang Yu cautiously. During this time when the world turned upside down, most colleges and universities have chosen to use online teaching to allow students to study at home as much as possible. Perhaps no other high school student can enter the inside of the reverse world like Yang Xiao. We see the end of the night sky here, which is our elven world. The sky is the bridge between the two worlds. Yang Yu raised his head and looked at the night sky and said, Brother, when we look up at the stars in the elf world, Gengui will definitely be able to see us, right? Yang Xiao imagined with excitement. The sky is a picture of longing. Sinai. Gardewar recalled in his mind, following Xiao Yu, looking at the night sky that turned the world upside down. The eyes under his hair were as bright as the bright moon. Most definitely. Yang Yu, you should be careful. I seem to feel some strange auras in the world here in the reverse world. It's a bit like, the situation found in Dial Ga's time world is very similar. Darkray's sky blue pupils gradually deepened, as if he could see through the night sky of the world, and began to become serious. Darkray, what's wrong? Yang Yu frowned. This breath. Cresselia, who was accompanying Yang Xiao, looked shocked. It's them. Them. What are they? Yang Xiao asked quickly. Yang Yu seemed to realize some problems and asked anxiously, is it something outside the world discovered in the dream world? Yang Xiao knew very little about these things, so he calmed down and listened to brother Yang Yu's speech seriously. Darkray and Cresselia looked at each other in the air, and they both saw the heaviness in the other's eyes. If this is the case, not only the reverse world, but Dial Ga's time world and possibly Pakia's space world are already facing the invasion of elves from other worlds. Invasion? Are you sure it's an invasion? Yang Yu said in a deep voice. For us, maybe. Darkray shook his head helplessly. There is no right or wrong in the elves' respective positions. Just like the god of nightmares and the god of dreams, although Darkray has a great notoriety in the elf world, many adults even use Darkray to scare disobedient children, saying that disobedience will cause nightmares. But there is nothing wrong with Darkray himself, but in his preconceived thinking, the nightmare god should be evil. Brother, where should we go next? We are unfamiliar with this place. Hey, why did I fall backwards? As soon as Yang Xiao thought about it, he found that his behavior was completely different from what he thought. Yang Xiao wanted to move forward, but as soon as he took a step, he found himself taking a step back. Brother, how did I walk before? How? The rules of this world are like this. It's best to forget about the front, back, left, and right, and adapt to this place. You know, we can even walk on vertical walls, and it looks like we are really walking sideways. Where Yang Yu and Yang Xiao were standing, there was a tree with a thick trunk. When supporting his arms on the trunk, Yang Yu only exerted slight force on his arms. For a moment, he was like a flag, waving horizontally. On top of the tree trunk. Oh my god! Brother, how did you do it? Yang Xiao couldn't help being surprised. If in the elf world, due to the effect of gravity, it would be difficult for most people to grasp the vertical flagpole with their hands and spread it horizontally like a flag without the help of super-powered elf. This requires a lot of arm strength. Xiao Yu, have you forgotten? The Dragon Messenger gave us a rescue capsule in space before. This shows that the reverse world here is similar to that of outer space, but it also has its own subtle rules between gravity and anti-gravity. Balance. Yang Yu spoke simply, his expression gradually becoming startled. Brother, what's wrong? The rules here in the reversal world, not to mention that it will take us some time to adapt, if those are really like the invaders mentioned before, how can they adapt to the reversal world in the first time? Isn't it the Hades Dragon King Chi-La here? Is it Dina's territory? Why is the reverse world also affected by the invasion? Darkray and Cresselia were suddenly startled by the murmur revealed in Yang Yu's thoughts. If this is really the case, their abilities are too terrifying. Darkray's throat couldn't help but make a dong sound. If they are ordinary invading elves, especially when they arrive in a world that is completely different from their own environment, how adaptable do they need to be so that they can become familiar with the rules of the world in the first place? Judging from the current world situation in reversal world, it is obvious that it has indeed been affected to a certain extent, and if such an influence is not controlled, it is easy to affect the outside world of elves. That elven world where humans and elves live together. Brother, then, will Gengui be in danger? Yang Xiao became anxious. Judging from the performance of Brother Yang Yu and Cresselia, the current situation, happening in the reverse world, looks very bad. If this is the case, then the most important thing. What to do with Yang Xiao's Jengar? Mif. Hu dash. Kuai Long and Hakran, who had been observing here for a long time and became familiar with the environment, gradually began to look anxious. Kuai Long's elf companion, Hakran's mother Minas. What should she do? Brother, look, 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 that island in front, is there any reflection on that island? Are there any elves there? Yang Xiao felt the reflection information at the corner of his eyes and asked quickly. Come on, let's go over and take a look. When Yang Yu was about to leave, he warned again, pay attention to the opposite rules in this world. When using power to fly, you must fly in the opposite direction. At this moment, everyone including the little dream demon nodded seriously and became serious. The little dream demon likes the atmosphere here very much, but, the power of fear seems to be everywhere. Because of this, the little dream demon will not let these pervasive fears affect Yang Yu and the others. The first focus of reversing the world. When Yang Yu and Yang Xiao watched their group getting further and further away from the destination island, the island that was as big as an ostrich egg at the beginning gradually turned into the size of a grain of rice. Yang Yu looked up the salted fish king, who looked at the dull flying and even started to get angry, gritted his teeth and moved forward with all his strength. Yang Yu. Salted fish king, you really can't fly backward. Poppy. Just when Yang Yu was about to reach out and knock the salted fish king wordlessly to make the salted fish king stop, Tajipai's voice attracted the attention of Yang Yu and Yang Xiao. Because below them, an island appeared. What kind of elf is this? Darkrai and Cresselia's doubts blurted out in an instant. The ultimate beast, the paper sword. At this moment, Yang Yu's answer made the two guardians of the dream instantly confused. Sad face, dig equals, grass. Do you know this too? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1042. Sokka. This is a paper sword-wielding tribe that has temporarily gained a foothold on a small island. Although they are a tribe, the number of paper swords does not seem to be many. Parry. The movements of the paper swords caused the sword-sharp hands to cross, and the paper-thin body to retreat backwards. There were a total of 6 elven paper swords, all of which were on alert and might take action at any time. The little dream demon blinked his eyes, with big doubts in his small eyes. The elves in front of him look like the paper man in the computer game. If the core of Reggie Locke's wisdom is here, he will definitely like it. This is the life-size paper man figure that he likes. For a moment, the little dream demon's hair began to float excitedly. If we catch one to please Reggie Locke who is staying on the mountainside of Mount Everest, maybe we can get some pink diamonds from him. Clench your fists tightly, and you've made such a happy decision. Only. The two-handed sword blade of the paper sword pointed at the edge of the sword, and the clear cold light above seemed to be able to cut through any hard object. In the confrontation that was waiting for him, the little dream demon felt full of danger. Bola. Jigglypuff hugged his legs tightly. The elf he was facing now, and the invisible and solemn aura in the space, made it a little difficult to breathe. Paper sword. Darkrai and Cresselia subconsciously repeated the name of this elf. The two patron saints of dreams raised their heads and took another look at the elves in front of them. The name Paper Sword. It's really not that ordinary. Cheng. The two sword blades on the left and right crossed across and made a sharp sound of metal friction, making the situation at this moment even more solemn and dignified. Wait and see what happens. Yang Yu looked at the 6 paper swords in front of him. As he breathed, he could clearly feel the nervousness rising when strangers and elves appeared. "Relax, relax, we don't mean any harm." Yang Yu stretched out his hand and did not approach deliberately. Instead, he asked his salted fish king to step back. After maintaining a relatively safe distance, the 6 paper swords looked at each other, and the crossed swords gradually dispersed. He was in a parrying posture, but he was still deeply vigilant. "Aren't you supposed to live in an ultimate space? Why do you appear here in the reverse world? Electric beam wood, iron fire Kaguya, Philomantis, do you know these elves?" Yang Yu took a deep breath to calm down. Fortunately, based on his own memory, despite the fact that the Xiao sword looked difficult to touch due to its sharp blade, in fact, there was nothing in his heart that wanted to destroy external things. More importantly, if someone or an elf is willing to communicate with them, it will make them feel an indescribable honor. Perhaps because of the appearance of a sword that can cut even gold and stone, no elves in the ultimate space are willing to come into contact with the paper sword. After all, no one likes to have a few more sword marks on their body at the first contact. At this moment, Darkrai couldn't talk to him at all and could only watch Yang Yu's personal show. Also, what is electric beam wood? Wood that generates electricity? Iron fire Kaguya, which iron, which fire? When can elves' steel attributes and fire attributes coexist? Darkrai looked confused. As expected by Yang Yu, when Yang Yu asked questions in a very careful and gentle tone through the power of the wave guide, these paper swords gradually put away their fighting posture. At the same time, their blade-like left hands even bent. He scratched his head. He seemed to be thinking about how to answer. "Sokka, do you know us? Do you also know the electric beam wood and the Philome beetle?" The paper swordsman looked at Yang Yu as if they were seeing the ultimate alien beast. After all, those who know them and even know about their elven race, what else are they but the ultimate alien beast? Good brother, good brother." Ji Yujian was so excited that he even wanted to open his arms and give Yang Yu a full hug. But when Yang Yu saw Ji Yujian's movements, he didn't want to be cut into 3 pieces by 2 knives. Even if the paper sword does not mean any harm, its body is an indestructible weapon. "Yang Yu, could it be that you are really not a human being?" Darkrai seemed to understand some of the communication between Ji Yujian and the others. Thinking of Yang Yu's various unbelievable behaviors in the past, could it be that he was really not a human being? "Yang Yu. Darkrai, should I knock it in?" "Brother, these elves don't seem so scary." Yang Xiao whispered beside Yang Yu. "It's possible that we haven't encountered anything terrible. Among the elves like them, there is also an elf called the Evil Eater King. In short, if there is really a problem in the ultimate space, we will probably end up in the reverse world in the future. We'll meet you here." Yang Yu breathed a sigh of relief, but still warned. Yang Xiao stuck out his tongue to show that he understood. "It's just that brother Yang Yu knows so many things. Yang Xiao has never heard of elves like Paper Yujian, and also, that ultimate space, what is that place? Is it a world similar to the reverse world?" It turns out that the place where they live is the ultimate space. Darkrai nodded slightly. However, in Darkrai's eyes, these paper swords are still invaders. Darkrai and Cresselia are in the dream world. What they can protect is to prevent alternative elves from the ultimate space from coming to the elven world. But I don't know where the problem is. The elves in the ultimate space did not pass through the world barrier of the dream world. Instead, they came to the reverse world through other means, and even affected Dialga's time world. Under such circumstances, the balance of the elf world is likely to be broken. Ka-sa-a. Ji Yujian quickly drew a circle on the ground with his sword-like hands, and began to draw according to the circle. As Paper Edgeworth spoke, Darkrai in the shadow space gradually closed his mouth. The place where this paper sword-wielding race lives is an area called the Ultimate Mine, a small branch tribe in the Ultimate Space. Due to the energy decline in the ultimate mine, the most important reason is that there is no ore in the mine where they live to provide paper swords to sharpen their own swords. Without a sharp blade, a dull and rusty paper sword will not be able to survive. When the living environment is in a dangerous situation, this paper swordsman tribe has to use the strength of the entire tribe to open up an ultimate wormhole to find a brand new home. After passing through the unstable wormhole, Zhiyojian's tribe completely dispersed. They don't know where the paper swords from other groups are. Whether to die in the wormhole, or to wander in the reverse world. Here, there are only 6 paper swords that depend on each other. This is the story of Paper-Edged Sword. Darkrai and Cresselia gradually became speechless. They had seen the changes in the ultimate space in the dream world, and they immediately thought that their world was about to be invaded by outside elves. However, they never thought that behind the unknown was the decay of the world. Why? This is a huge problem. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 1043. Whether to keep these ultimate beasts in the reverse world or send them all back to the ultimate space is not something Yang Yu and Yang Xiao can decide. It is true that what the paper swordsman said made Yang Yu and Yang Xiao feel more sympathetic, but here, everything is decided by that one, the master of the reverse world, the Dark Dragon King Giratina. Putting aside these mind-burning things, Yang Yu still had something to ask. Have you ever seen a Jengar? Or, have you seen a Minas? These paper swords were the first group of elves that Yang Yu and Yang Xiao encountered in the reverse world. In any case, the purpose of their trip was to find these 2 elves. Kuai Long was equally eager, and when he got excited, he once again forgot the rules of reversing the world, and retreated backwards with his fat short legs thump thump thump. If Dada hadn't quickly caught the retreating Kuai Long, he might have flown to an unknown island again. Sokka. Paper Royal Sword, you look at me, I look at you, they don't know much about these elves in the reverse world, so they look very confused. Sana. At this time, Gardevoir next to Yang Xiao lit a ghost flower, and the power of the ghost attribute emanated from the palm of his hand. Soon, the appearance of a Jengar appeared in front of the paper swordsman. Jengar like this, yes, and also, great beauty, great beauty. Yi. De Mailly was still seriously discussing the unscientific aspects of this world with the Salted Fish King, which always brought her great confusion when flying. At this time, Yang Yu called her, and immediately appeared in Zhiyu's eyes openly. In front of the sword. Seemingly seeing the appearance of Gengui and De Mailly, these paper swordsmen began to fall into deep thought. Maybe it's because there are no other people or elves in the group asking them for help except for their fellow paper swordsmen. Now, Yang Yu and the others have appeared and even asked them for help. They are all scratching their heads and working very hard. With his own memories. S.A. Li. One of the paper swords looked like a transformer with its eyes brightening up. It imitated the Jengar image that appeared in Gardevoir's hand and carved it on the ground. Jengar, which Jengar? They have seen many such elves. In the reverse world, the most numerous elves are ghost-type elves. This is a paradise for ghost elves. It is also the destination of the souls of elves after death in the elven world. Jengar is the most common elf. Yang Yu, the Gengui selected by Lord Nether Dragon King, will definitely have a super floating island of its own. You can ask, have you ever seen Gengui on the super floating island? And position? Darkrai said. Oh, by the way, that Minas who came to the reverse world decades ago also has his own floating island. This is a very important piece of information. Darkrai, why are you saying this now? Didn't I just think of this? I haven't been to the reverse world for a long time. I just thought of it and came to remind you. Why do you still blame me? Okay. Yang Yu quickly conveyed the news to the paper swordsman. At this time, the lights in the eyes of these paper swordsmen began to flicker. Sokka. When the paper swordsmen began to nod frequently, Yang Xiao, Shanado, Kuai Long and Hakalong, their hearts seemed to see infinite hope for a moment, and the feeling of happiness bloomed like fireworks. When did you see it and where did you see it? Yang Xiao quickly asked. Who? Me. Me. Mifu. Hakran was so excited that he almost approached Ji Yujian. This dangerous move shocked Yang Yu. Fortunately, the paper sword did not light up its blade, and the atmosphere was not as solemn as before, otherwise Yang Yu was sure that Hakran would probably be cut. Ji Yujian said that when they first came here, they saw an extremely huge black shadow with skeleton-like traces on its body. The aura exuding from it should be that of a great elf in this world. Darkrai, they should be talking about the Dark Dragon King Giratina, right? Darkrai thought for a moment, nodded and replied, from this description, it should be that if these strange beasts living in the ultimate space come to the reverse world, Lord Pluto Dragon King will definitely find it, but he is afraid of the reverse world. There are wormholes appearing everywhere, so it will be difficult for Mr. Pluto King to control every corner of the reverse world. Sokka. Ji Yujian said that they were able to have this temporary island to live in because the guardian of the underworld in this area helped them temporarily organize it. And it's an elf named Pumpkin Monster. It turns out this is the third district. Darkrai instantly understood some information. Third district, what third district? The Pumpkin Monster is the third manager of the underworld under Lord Pluto Dragon King. The reverse world is so big, of course it needs elves to manage it, which is equivalent to the district chief in your human world. Yang Yu. Can this be compared? How big is this reverse world? How big is a district in China? However, after saying this, Yang Yu somewhat understood. Minaz is the district chief of the 6th district. Jengar is the district chief of the 7th district. Darkrai, is this what you want to say? Brother, when did Jengar become the district chief? Yang Xiao was confused. What is this? In the reverse world, there is also a district chief? Probably, but how do we get to the 6th and 7th districts? By the way, Paper Edge Sword, did you see which direction they went? Human, are you stupid? The rules of time in the reverse world are different from those in the elf world. Even if the paper swordsmen saw it, they still don't know where the Lord Pluto Dragon King is. Do you know Darkrai? Yang Yu said angrily in a long tone. How do I know that the difference between the reverse world and the elf world is that the area here is changing all the time, because the islands are floating in the air, and each island has its own different moving speed and direction, so say, this is the 3rd district today, and tomorrow it may be the 4th or 5th district. I may know where District 6 was decades ago, but now, the location in the reverse world has completely changed. I can't use the memory to find it. Then how should we find Minas and Jengar? Maybe there is only the last way. Darkrai had a headache. Yang Yu. No way, right? I met Dialga not long ago, and now I want to find Giratina? Yang Yu, am also a little panicked. This is the best way. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1044. Flying in silence, scattering endless melancholy in the sky of the reverse world. Giratina, the Dark Dragon King. Kuai Long once wanted to prevent menus from going to the reverse world in front of Giratina, but the contract between Giratina's soul cannot be violated. This is the price of power. From then on, Kuai Long understood something in his heart. The most painful thing was meeting her when I was unable to protect my beloved elf companion. Now, in the reverse world, Kuai Long warned himself in his heart, soon, it won't be long before maybe he can see Minas. Xiao Yu, look, the ghost elves here are many of the elven races that have never appeared in our elven world. They are suitable for the environment of the reverse world, but in our elven world, it is difficult to adapt. So its existence is completely reasonable, and we don't have to worry too much. When we come to a strange world and respect the life here, our safety is basically no problem. Yang Yu lamented in his heart that while reversing the world environment, he excluded Dialga's time world. In the long river of time in the time world, only Dialga himself exists. Perhaps this is why he is easily angry. Brother, I know. Yang Xiao followed Yang Yu to learn how to explore the secret realm. These teachings will definitely be of great use in his future career as a trainer. In a strange environment, communicating with strange elves, and at the same time his own attitude, and understanding of the elves during the process. If Yang Yu didn't know some information about the ultimate beasts, he would not have gone to the previous Xiu, the small island where the sword is located. If you are not careful, you may face the threat of the ultimate beast. The waterfalls here originally flowed backwards. Brother, look at it like this, it's so spectacular. During the rapid flight, in the distance in the sky, you can see a combined waterfall that flows to an unknown direction but looks like it leads to the end of the sky. Layer after layer, as the number of layers increases, the flow speed of the waterfall becomes faster and faster, and the splashing water becomes more gorgeous and spectacular. GGG. Looking down from above, Yang Yu and Yang Xiao could see the ghost market, lined up in rows, with ghost elves standing shoulder to shoulder, extremely lively. If ghost tides were going on here. The little dream demon finally knew that the endless forest he had seen in the secret realm of the Sky City was not the largest paradise for ghost elves. The real paradise was here, in the reverse world. Boli. Bubiba mile. The figure passing by in the sky attracted the attention of the large and small ghost elves below. These elves usually rarely see large elves appearing in the air. At this moment, Yang Yu's Salted Fish King, Big Beauty, and Little Bao Bao, as well as Kuai Long from East China Sea Dragon Palace, this kind of flight gave them a lot of imagination. Looking at the ghostly and enthusiastic ghost elves below, Tijipai and Jigglypuff wanted to play among the ghosts below, but now was not a good time. Yang Yu, Yang Xiao, including Kuai Long, all needed to rushing forward at full speed. Yang Yu held Jigglypuff and Tijipai. The two elves kept waving to the ghost elves below, like big stars on a concert tour, but they were not in the reverse world. A big star, but still full of style. What, you really want to hold a concert tour in the reverse world? Yang Yu smiled and pinched Jigglypuff's little fat face. Tijipai, who was sitting on Jigglypuff's head, waved his hands excitedly, as if encouraging him. As for the little dream demon who likes to do big things, he happily reached out and slapped Tijipai on the hand. In the reverse world, as Darkrai said, there are 7 areas in total, one area after another. If there is a concert tour to play, it sounds really good. When we have time in the future, let's find Jengar and Minas first, and then we'll see if we can have the opportunity to hold a concert for you here. Yang Yu said with a smile. Being able to establish a good relationship with the ghost elves in the reverse world and gain their favor is also a huge help in the reverse world. In this way, the possibility of encountering danger will be much smaller, and if there are elves who can find the way on large islands, it will be even better. They can take Yang Yu and Yang Xiao to appreciate the scenery of the floating island. Darkrai, which area are we in now? Yang Yu asked in a low voice. It doesn't matter which district we are in. Our destination is, after all, where Lord Nether Dragon King is. Wherever Lord Nether Dragon King is, we will go, Darkrai said simply. Yang Yu nodded. In the reverse world, where the ghost type aura is strongest, Giratina, the Dark Dragon King, will be there. The world is very big, but there are 2 gods of dreams, Darkrai and Cresselia. With the power of the reader, he can understand the area where Giratina is really located. Little Dream Demon, during this period of flight, you must practice your ghost type moves. Yang Yu continued to warn. O asterisk Omega. The little dream demon flashed his magic wand, and Yang Yu reached out to high-five each other. With the growth brought about by the improvement of experience, the little dream demon will gradually become Yang Yu's reliable elf partner, just like Dudu. Here, the little dream demon can be said to be like a fish in water, with experience in the environment. During flight, Gardevoir and Dudu can teach the little dream demon to use ghost-type moves. In Dialga's time world, the little dream demon entered Yang Yu's dream, but could not find Yang Yu's whereabouts. The feeling of hesitation and helplessness even brought tears, which made the little dream demon even more sad. Clear. She must protect Yang Yu. Especially in dreams. Otherwise, the little dream demon will not be able to find Yang Yu. When Yang Yu summoned Xiao Baobao, a handover was completed between Xianyu King and Xiao Baobao. Flying in an inverted world is quite tiring in the early stages. After all, you have to fight with yourself during the flight. If you can't think straight, you may have to fly upside down again. The power of the ghost system has begun to become more and more powerful. Yang Yu's eyes looked toward the end of the night ahead. There was only endless darkness in the devoured starry sky. Invert the world, frontline. This is a wilderness corrupted by power. The flames of war were flying in the venue. A swift figure stretched like a blade, and then, blue light struck hard towards the wilderness ground. Sweat fell from this elf's sassy and slender eyebrows. Elf, Minas. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1045. Why does the sky here seem to have collapsed? There are deep and ferocious holes. What exactly happened here? Things gradually began to exceed Yang Yu and Yang Xiao's expectations. When Yang Yu and his party and the elves moved away from several concentrated large floating islands and gradually approached the edge of the reverse world, the subtle light here seemed to be swallowed up. Huge potholes are clearly visible in the sky, making the sky here look riddled with holes. The endless dark atmosphere inside seems to exude a terrifying force that depresses humans and elves to the extreme. How come? Darkrai stared blankly at the night sky here. The reverse world, this is completely different from the reverse world in his impression. Once upon a time, Lord Giratina, the Dragon King of the underworld, did turn the reverse world into an exiled world in a great war. However, as the world itself evolved and recuperated, the reverse world gradually regained its vitality. It can be seen from the previous large floating islands inhabited by countless ghost-type elves that the reverse world has become a home for the elves to survive. I don't know how many years have passed during this time. But now, here, at the edge of the world, things seem to be changing. Those ultimate beasts, what did they do to the reverse world? Darkrai was filled with uncontrollable anger. Those paper swords. Lord Giratina, the Dark Dragon King, provided them with a place to stay in the reverse world. Why did he do things to destroy the reverse world? Darkrai, calm down, what you think is not entirely that bad. Cresselia continued to comfort her softly, but there was still anxiety and anger in her words. The ultimate beast, just like us, there is no guarantee that everyone is good. If there are good people, there will naturally be bad people. Yang Yu clearly felt Darkrai's boundless anger, the wrath of the nightmare god, that it will be a nightmare for the world. Those ultimate beasts may have lost their homes in the ultimate space, but some paranoid people want to take this reverse world as their own. Such thoughts are beyond our ability to predict. The environment here seems to be filled with the aura of a large amount of energy pouring out. Yeah. Dede nodded in agreement. When Yang Yu he was staying in Sakura country, Dede Wang Mili told him about the situation that Mili's ethnic group in Xiangchuan County had encountered. Under the management of Mili's clothing store, Kagawa County was getting better and better, and was envied by human trainers. Hope that the ethnic group can continue to thrive in Kagawa Prefecture. Perhaps we can call the paper sword in front of us the guests of the reverse world, but those ultimate beasts that want to invade and occupy the reverse world are the enemies of the reverse world. Kuai Long is not very interested in this world. If Minas hadn't been here, he would never have come here. From an emotional point of view, he doesn't care what happens in the world in front of him, but the problem is, if these things threaten the safety of Minas, how can this make Kuai Long feel at ease? The sooner we find Minas, the better. Suddenly, Kuai Long's eyes seemed to be keenly aware of something, and the breath around him made him smell a hint of crisis. When a collapsed zenith piece once again appeared in the sky above, an extremely dazzling energy beam suddenly lit up from Kuai Long's mouth. Dragon's Wrath. Brother, does this look like the sky is falling? Yang Xiao's eyelids twitched. There was a rumbling explosion in the sky, and the sputtering of crystal-like debris. Although it looked like fireworks, what a terrifying answer lies behind these fireworks. Look, the sky here at the edge of the reverse world has more landslides. Yang Yu calmed down. Something unexpected happened here on the way, which made him realize that perhaps the real reason behind the early arrival of the reverse world was probably related to the appearance of the ultimate beast this time. Fortunately, this is the edge area. If the sky collapse of the reverse world is the large floating island we encountered before, then the elves living in the reverse world will be even more dangerous. Yang Xiao Sync said the voice. The world is beginning to become unbalanced. Lord Nether Dragon King must be thinking of ways to solve the imbalance of the world. Yang Yu, we need to find Lord Nether Dragon King as soon as possible. Darkrai couldn't wait to speak. As the patron saint of the dream world, mixed in among many worlds, and protecting the elven world from the threat of the ultimate space, Darkrai must have his own reasons to join forces with Lord Nether Dragon King. The same problem also occurred in the time world, but due to the special nature of Dialga, the situation was not as serious as in the reverse world. As the front line of the reversal world, Darkrai cannot stand idly by. If the reverse world is not peaceful, the dream world will also not be peaceful, because Darkrai has guilt and regret in his heart. How can he watch the reverse world, a paradise that is gradually becoming peaceful, fall into the scorched earth of disaster? Although we come from the world of elves, in the reverse world, there are also elves we care about, a community of destiny. At this moment, Yang Yu had a clearer understanding of the 5 words community of destiny. If it is really a disaster that the sky is falling, and now the reverse world comes to the elf world, then the disaster that occurs in the reverse world is likely to affect the entire elf world. The sky is falling, but a tall man is holding it up. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Yang Yu realized more clearly that his and Xiao Yu's business of reversing the world may be more than just looking for Jengar and Minas. Great beauty, Kuai Long. Now we have to use the fastest speed to find the location of the Dark Dragon King Giratina. Yi. Hu. Kai Long, can you still persist? Continuous high-intensity flying will hurt yourself. The crisis of sky collapse just encountered may still appear on the way. Do you need to enter the elf ball to rest? The elf ball is the best place for elves to rest. Yang Yu had no intention of subduing this Kuai Long. Kuai Long has handed over his junior's mini dragon to Yang Yu, and Yang Yu is already very satisfied. But in the current situation, we are moving at full speed along the way, and we don't know what kind of dangers we will encounter. If we rest in the poke ball for a while, we may be in a better state to deal with it later. Kuai Long shook his head. In the depths of his bloodshot eyes, there were endless longings for decades. He couldn't rest and didn't want to rest. Under the dark night sky of the reverse world, 2 beams of light and shadow streaked through the sky like comets. The sound moves the 9 heavens. Pokemon's character master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Xiang Xiao. Chapter 1046. Sir, there are already a large number of people in that world who have entered the reverse world from all over the world. The situation here is particularly dangerous. With the power of those human trainers and elves, will it be possible? In the darkness, a pair of majestic eyes seem to be able to see through everything in the world. The surrounding sounds seem to be nothing but breathing. They always have to face it. This time, what we are facing is the problem of an entire world. Although there is not much connection between my place and that world, after all, they are one, including the mutual exchanges over the years. Pakia and Dialga are fighting, no one is immune to this crisis. The dragon's voice was loud, and the two pairs of giant feet in front of Giratina were slowly wiping the wounds on his chest. The extremely huge ghost power is making up for and healing the visible scars. Sir, are you injured? The strange ghostly fire lit up a soul lamp that seemed to be able to blow away the soul. The light of the crystal lamp fire spirit made the fire of anger burn brightly in the rising anger. It's been a long time since I've had such scars, and so are you. However, compared to you ghost-type ones, the injuries on Minos's body are much more serious than expected. Sir, why do those elves that appear out of nowhere have such terrible fighting power? If there are only two of them, you don't have to worry so much, but with the number and as time goes by, their power seems to it's still improving. It's terrible. The crystal lamp spirit was aware of the terrifying nature of those elves. In the beginning, when some ferocious opponents were burned and annihilated by his soul fire, the power of their souls was not strong, but, as time went by, the crystal lamp spirit it becomes increasingly difficult to use the flame of the soul to directly burn and annihilate the enemy. Perhaps this is what Arceus is worried about. The Dark Dragon King Giratina had something in mind. Arceus created a balanced elven world, created Dialga, Pakia, and Giratina. Perhaps there was a collision between their three worlds, breaking the balance of the universe. The mistakes we have made must eventually be made up for. Giratina has been committed to recuperating and reversing the world's survival. However, the harm caused by the ignorance of anger has caused cracks in the world. No matter how much rest he takes, the cracks cannot be repaired. The crystal lantern fire spirit said, "My lord has done nothing wrong." No, everyone will make mistakes. What is important is whether they will examine their own hearts after making mistakes. Pakia and Dialga, after so many years, they are still fighting. This time, I am good. I really want to see them unite once. In this reverse world where he was originally exiled, Giratina did have an endless hatred for Dialga and Pakia due to the mistakes he had made in the past. His Arceus still had doubts and deep confusion. Until one day, a flower appeared in the reverse world. That's life. Arceus gave Giratina life, but the path after life must be explored by Giratina himself. Actually, such a battle has no meaning. Since he is the master of the world, Giratina did not expel all the foreign elves. From some alien beast elves, Giratina also learned that the world they lived in had undergone major changes. Regarding life, in the years when the world was reversed, Giratina gradually saw a lot more clearly. Blind sympathy has no effect. It was Giratina's move to open a temporary floating island for alien beast elves to live in. At least here, it would allow those alien beast elves who had fled to have a relatively safe and stable place to stay. However, not all alien beast elves are grateful. There are more and more wormholes in space, and the pressure on the reverse world is also increasing. In the eyes of some alien beast elves, the reverse world seems to have become their territory. Although the world over there is out of balance, the root cause of the imbalance is still caused by themselves. Transferring the imbalance within the world to my world is an invasion. Giratina has seen all the changes in the world, all the vicissitudes of life, and is close to the elven world. In that elven world, there are many complex humans. This can be considered a truth that Giratina understood from human history. Grown-ups. At this time, a pumpkin monster stretched its limbs and spread out its vine whip. 4 round and rolling ghosts below, like a pumpkin carriage, traced a trajectory from the sky and landed in front of Giratina. Sir, in the world over there, a large number of human trainers have come to our world with their elves. The pumpkin monster's starry eyes were filled with the light of will-o'-the-wisps. The real world, the reverse world, the time and space world, the dream world, the balance of the elf world must ultimately be maintained together. I hope Dialga and Pakia will stop being so stubborn. We need to work together to deal with the beast elves. Arzus once said that the beauty of the elven world is the unity of balance, and the balance of unity. No matter which world is disturbed by the outside world and becomes unbalanced, the entire world will fall into huge trouble. Minas and Jengar, they are the bridge between us and the real world. I have already felt that the breath of the real world and the breath of the dream world are getting closer and closer. The soul contract signed is not only their future in the past, but also the future of the reverse world. Kuai Long, and that human trainer who can take the nightmare god Darkrai and the dream god Cresselia, are finally waiting for you. The ferocious giant feet extended, and Giratina looked up at the sky that had no sky anymore, the places that had completely collapsed and turned into endless darkness. A future without a future is not the future I want. Sky Battlefield. A large number of giant bat-like elves descended from the space wormhole in the collapsed sky. These elves opened their huge abyss mouths that seemed capable of swallowing stars, and their jagged claws were like abyss demons descending from the abyss. Jaka. The blue eyes exuded a terrifying brilliance. Strange beast, the evil-eating king. The floating islands in the reverse world are their most wonderful food. You. The battle horn resounded from Mina's extremely high-pitched voice. Only. A pillar of light like a dragon-shaped fireball flashed from the corner of the sky, like the dawn of dawn in this dark world. At this moment, Minas's expression was in a daze. Hua. Mifu. 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 There is also a blue light pillar that is much slender and weaker than that ray of dawn, but in the sky where the group of evil-eating kings are, these ultimate beasts are extremely frightened. Evil, dragon. The freezing light with fairy attributes is the biggest threat. Kuai Long, Hakran, coming through the sky. The darkness here should be illuminated by shooting stars. Still remember that creamy meteor shower? This is eternal love. You. Seeing each other across the sky seems like a world apart. That look seemed like 1,000 years. Kuai Long, Minas, finally meet. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1047. It's coming. Sir, who is it? The love that spans centuries in the elf world, Kuai Long, you did not disappoint me. Giratina nodded slightly, looking far and clear. Under the collapse of the sky of the reverse world is one orange and one yellow. It is flying between the descending evil-eating kings. The small wings that the dragon is flapping are not consistent with its size. At this moment, it is like a blade, cutting through this eternal world. An icy wind flashed across the night space. The tornado that rose out of thin air released the emotions that Kuai Long had accumulated for nearly a century, including the decadence of the past, the incomprehensible past, and the infinite resentment and love. He hated himself for not being able to protect Minas. At this moment, facing the group of ultimate alien beasts falling from the sky in front of him, Kuai Long turned the infinite resentment in his heart into exhausting rage. It's here. Who dares to hurt Minas? The eye-catching wounds on Minas' body deeply hurt Kuai Long's heart. This made Kuai Long, who was like a cage at the bottom of the deep sea, completely burst out with extraordinary strength. Hua! The furious tornado, the roar that tore apart the sky, swept through the world, making Yongye feel like he was plunged into a silent storm. Evil. The huge body of the evil Eater King instantly opened up with open wounds in the tornado mixed with the dragon's wrath. The joy the invasion brought them, at this moment, the ferocious smile on their faces completely turned into endless pain. Mina surrounds Kuai Long. She has seen all the forests and poplars in the reverse world, and all the grudges and hatreds in this world. When she was on the floating island, she kept thinking about that little dragon. At this moment, he was standing in front of her. Maybe it doesn't have the splendor of the previous Hakran period, but what Kuai Long brings is infinite maturity and stability. Mifu. Mifu. A new moon is rising. This is Yang Yu's great beauties teaching to Hakran. At the center of the world's center island, the dragon's dance is first formed and turning like a moon wheel, accompanied by the meteors falling from the sky. Like a roaring flames of war. Like the war dance of red flames. Good guy. Yang Yu waved his fist fiercely, with a very excited expression on his face. The participation of Kuai Long, Minas, and Hakran's family in front of him was an exquisite and beautiful picture. This was not what Yang Yu wanted. The picture you saw. Brother, they are finally reunited. Yang Xiao smiled, and then his eyes turned red from cheering. Many dragon. Hakran. That scene, no, it was a scene, those dreams that seemed real and illusory. Today, the dream comes true. Sana. Gardewar felt something in her heart, had something in her heart, and had something in her mind. His eyes were full of envy. This is fighting side by side. In the loud sounds of Kuai Long and Minas, they wantonly vented their longing and love for each other. During this period, there were clearly audible sounds of the cute and joyful Hakran's farts. Here, in the battlefield of space, it was like a pack-licking monster that was catching up the damage from behind. The strong dragon power released by the evil Eater King may be effective in the ultimate space, but when entering the reverse world for the first time, even with the unique characteristics of the alien beasts, they are still at a disadvantage in a hasty fight. These alien beast elves are almost difficult to kill. In the reverse world, Minas can only weaken their power at most, so that they can no longer have strong destructive power, but this is not the best solution. Jigglypuff looked at the falling meteors in the sky. When the meteors landed and bombarded with heavy sounds, he stepped on the drum beat of his own rhythm. For Jigglypuff, this fighting rhythm was really, really good. Little Dream Demon and Tijipai looked at Jigglypuff's ta-ta-ta-ta-ta steps, and followed them out of boredom, a bit like playing on a dancing machine. Up, down, left, right, baba. When the last meteor fell in the sky, this team of ultimate alien beasts and evil-eating kings, in addition to being suppressed by the fire power of Kuai Long and Minas, also worked together with other ghost-type elves in the reverse world to completely destroy it. Control. Evil. Hungry. The evil Eater King jabbered a bunch of words. Facing the powerful Kuai Long and Minas, he could only tearfully find a fragment from the sky that broke off when the sky collapsed, and started chewing it. Yang Yu, what kind of elves are these? What are they eating? When Darkrai heard these hungry evil and so on, he always felt that he had suffered the ultimate ridicule from the alien beasts in the other world. The king of hate eaters, there is nothing but eating. If there is nothing to eat, he may even attack the environment around him. Yang Yu shook his head. These evil-eating kings really cannot stay in the reverse world, they must be sent back to the ultimate space, otherwise they will eat the floating island if they become ruthless, which will have a bad impact on the ecology of the reverse world. Among the ghost elves, many elves with pumpkin heads appeared, and they were constantly sprinkling sleeping powder on these evil-eating kings. Kuai Long and Minas, who returned to land, were now free from the battle and looked at each other with infinite affection. Love is separated by mountains and seas, and mountains and seas cannot be leveled. Of course, it would be different if there was one more naughty child. Mif. Just when Kuai Long and Mina still had a lot to say in private, a Hakran appeared directly in the middle of their arms. Yang Yu. Kuai Long. At this moment, Kuai Long wanted to kill this Harker dragon. Fortunately, in the eyes of Minas, everything that happened to Hakran, everything, for a mother, she had not seen her daughter for a long time, and when she saw her again, her daughter had grown up. Also, it's so outstanding. You eat less sweets from now on. Minas gently rested her hair fin on Hakran's head. Omega. Meteor clusters filled with the fragrance of cream and the aura of fairy attributes. How does this Kuai Long take care of the child? The raised eyebrows at the corners of Minas's eyes made Kuai Long shiver. Fortunately, Minas did not forget that there were Yang Yu and Yang Xiao here. What caught Minas' attention the most was Gardvar, who was vaguely exuding a ghostly aura. You. Looking at Gardevoir's eyes, Minas had something in his mind. This is an elf who is as happy as her. Love and be loved. That Jengar who signed a soul contract with Lord Nether Dragon King. Suddenly, Gardvar and Yang Xiao's red eyes flashed brightly. Great, do you want to take us to find Jengar? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Qiangxiao. Chapter 1048. Sir, where does the Lord of Minas Island want to take the humans from the elven world? Oh, go find Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi ghost? Oh, by the way, my lord has told you about Xiaoqi's origin before, but how lucky is this human trainer to be able to be tainted by the fate of the owner of Minas Island and Xiaoqi at the same time. Light Spirit, Pumpkin Monster, let's go. The sky here has basically stabilized. We have to go to other places to look. This time, we need to rely on the power of several other worlds to reverse the world. As you command, my lord. At the place where Giratina's figure disappeared, a space door chirped for an instant and quickly disappeared into the original space. If Yang Yu saw the scene with his own eyes, he would be very surprised. The space power controlled by Giratina does not seem to be controlled by the Dark Dragon King, but is very similar to the ability possessed by Dialga. However, the move that Giratina really mastered was shadow diving. At the moment when Giratina's aura disappeared, Darkrai and Cresselia were keenly aware that Lord Hades' Dragon King did not seem to want to meet them at this time. Anyway, if you meet Minas, you can also find Jengar. Darkrai breathed a sigh of relief. The same goes for Cresselia. Not only the ghost-type elves have strong restraint against super-type elves, but also the ghost-type power and the might of the strongest dragon condensed in Lord Giratina. In the face of this absolute power, even Darkrai must stay away. Now is a critical period for reversing the world. Lord Nether Dragon King has his own plans. We have not yet met each other at this time, and Darkrai has not deliberately forced it. After that, you will definitely meet. Yang Yu waved. Xiao Yu, come on, let's follow Minas. Yang Xiao nodded suddenly, one by one, filled with joy, and said seriously, yes. This answer was heart-wrenching. During the initial period of disappearance of Gengui in the real world of elves, Yang Xiao could not control his emotions at all, including panic, confusion, and even endless self-blame. Now, she is finally one step closer to Jengar. And, it's a big step. Jengar. Jengar. The seventh area of the reverse world. Although this place is far away from the front line of the reverse world, the sky here is still not calm. When Jengar first came here, he stared at the central lake of the floating island for a long time. It lasted for 1 day or 2, and it lasted for who knows how long. However, when he saw Gardevoir's figure in the lake, Jengar suddenly woke up from his confusion. He is not a ghost living alone. In the real world of elves, there are elves and humans he loves and who love him. I learned from Minas, the owner of the floating island in Area 6, that the reverse world will be connected to the real world of elves in the near future, and Jengar's lost heart has finally been found. Strength is, after all, the foundation of everything. Jengar, who is training crazily in the reverse world, constantly improves his ghost attribute power. At the same time, he also learns a lot about the poison attribute from the senior Jengar in the reverse world. However, there is not much time left for Jengar. The emergence of the ultimate space wormhole unexpectedly broke Jengar's newly adapted life in the reverse world. Due to his own strength, Jengar cannot go directly to the front line where the reverse world and the ultimate space intersect like Minas and Pumpkin Monster. Instead, he helps those elves injured in the battle to carry out reasonable operations in the 7th area. Settlement. During the period of Ghost and Ghost, Jengar had a profound understanding of strength. If he had been able to withstand the loss of life caused by sharing the pain, if his strength had been stronger, perhaps Larulas wouldn't have been in such pain at that time. GGG. Standing among the tallest stone towers on this large floating island, Jengar held a coniferous tree branch in the corner of his mouth, thinking about ghost life at this high altitude. In front of Gengui, suddenly, a bright white elf appeared, somewhat like a human being. Jengar didn't know what kind of strange elf this was. He accidentally encountered it not long ago. Jengar regarded it as an ultimate beast like those paper swords and brought it back to the 7th area. However, this elf is a little different from the elves in Paper Sword, and that is, it doesn't seem to know anything. This elf is all white, has limbs and even a slightly thick tail. In its rolling eyes, there is a super analytical ability that only Super Elf possesses. Gengui knew that this guy was starting to fall into his own thoughts again. Probably. Who I am? Where am I? Where do I come from? GGG. Jengar didn't pay too much attention to it. The strange elves in the real world appeared in the reverse world, but it became not strange at all. However, during this period of relatively tight atmosphere, it would be nice to have an elf come from time to time so that Jengar can relieve some boredom and annoyance. No matter what Jengar said, this elf wouldn't understand. This all-white elf exudes purple-red super light, which makes Jengar look at it more often. The power contained in these super lights is very powerful, but it seems that this elf has not yet been able to fully master these powers, because in its abdomen, white and purple are constantly metabolizing. In other words, they are constantly metabolizing. Genetic recombination. It is forming its own thinking. Haja. Jengar yawned, his huge teeth looked like a ferocious evil ghost in the movie. Jengar touched his stomach. He was a little hungry now. Although the food in the reverse world is not as colorful as the real world of elves, at least Jengar can still get used to it. Of course, Jengar himself also carries some inventory from the real world of elves. Jengar reached into his mouth and took out the stupid dessert cake that he had kept in the different space before entering the reverse world. He then grabbed a piece and stuffed it into his mouth, smashing it and chewing it. However, Jengar seemed to notice this strange white elf looking at him, so he turned his head, took the cake, and cut off a small piece with the shadow cutting move. Do you want some too? White elf. Take it out of your own mouth and eat it into your own mouth. What is this operation? This white elf doesn't care about the origin of the cake, but its sense of smell tells it that it is food that can make it happy physically and mentally. Thanks. When a human word came out of the white elf's mouth, Jengar's eyes widened in an instant. Is this a human being? Or an elf? Can you actually speak human language? What elf are you? They seem to call me Ultron Dream, but I prefer the name Mutuo, Mutuo. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 1049. Super cute. Jengar looked up and down this strange elf suspiciously. At first glance, it didn't look cute. Not only is it not cute, it even looks scary at times. At least his behavior doesn't look like an ordinary elf. Has a certain degree of danger. G. This should be the third day that Gengui encountered the super cute reverse world, and it should also be the first time he heard it speak. Taking this opportunity, Gengui decided to ask it about its origin. After all, the alien beast elves I see falling from the sky these days are basically in groups, but this one is super cute and is alone. I should be an elf created by humans. Chao Meng used his superpowers to continuously tap into the memory cells in his mind, as if he was once again in a nutritional cabin with a humid environment. G. Sigma. Elves created by humans. Jengar felt as if the hairs on his body were starting to stand up. Is this true or false? Why does it sound like news from the underworld? The memory shows that this is indeed the case. I am very grateful to the humans who gave me life, but I also hate them very much. Chao Meng slowly looked at the palm of his right hand. In the palm of his hand, there seemed to be a superpower that wanted to explode, but was very unstable. After being given life, Chao Meng's own emotions began to gradually activate in every cell of his body. However, before he was fully awakened, he was easily manipulated. G. Did you escape on your own? Jengar somewhat understood what Chao Meng meant. After hearing Jengar's answer, Chao Meng looked up at the dark sky. Chao Meng, who possesses a high degree of intelligence, already knows that human scientists cannot control his destiny even before his power is fully discovered. Maybe it's to follow your own heart. It's like the original meaning of life. The intention is not to be forced. GGG. Jengar pursed his lips, licked every finger clean, and stretched out his tongue to scrape all the creamy taste from the corner of his mouth into his mouth. It turns out this is not an alien spirit. However, it's also strange. How could humans create such elves? When I think of my master's brother, the human trainer, what happened to him is infinitely magical, as if humans created elves, it's not impossible. After replenishing his energy, Jengar patted his butt and stood up. He still had important things to do later. As the seventh floating island owner in the reverse world, Jengar must ensure the stability of the seventh area during this period of the reverse world, and whether he can keep the environment stable depends on his own strength. Compared with several other areas, the seventh area is equivalent to a rear area. What Jengar wants to ensure is a stable rear area. Are you going to train? Mutuo noticed Jengar's movements. From the observation in the past few days, Jengar will conduct self-training for a long time at this time. This is the case every day. When Chao Meng first set foot on this island, it was quite strange why the floating island where Jengar was located. There was only Jengar, an elf, but later I realized that there was a story here that Chao Meng couldn't understand yet. G. Jengar nodded. Can I train with you? Mutuo gestured. Chao Meng himself did not have a clear understanding of his own power. When entering the reverse world to escape from the control of human trainers, Chao Meng did not expend too much effort due to the unique rules of the reverse world. G. Jengar was a little surprised. But there was no refusal. Ordinary ghost elves in the reverse world dare not fight against Jengar. Those powerful elves now have the task of protecting the reverse world. In this lonely and boring training, it would be great to have a partner. At the same time, my heart was faintly filled with infinite expectations. This self-proclaimed super cute elf comes from the real world of elves, and there are many human trainers who have come to the reverse world, so that means. Wait, the moment is worth waiting for. Chao Meng looked at Jengar at this moment with a blank expression. For him, even with a keen insight into such complex emotions, it was still difficult to understand the mystery. From birth to now, there are still many things in the elf world that Chao Meng needs to understand. Inverted world, temporary island stronghold in North America. Dr. Mecha, where is our secret weapon? King Dwight appeared from a tent with a serious look on his face. King Dwight, I'm sorry, it escaped in the nutrition cabin of our Dream of Ultron. What? Dr. Mecha, say it again. King Dwight's eyes were splitting. This news was like a thunderbolt from the clear sky. 3 days before you came to this stronghold, according to the time in the reverse world, that wise elf completely fooled our people and completed the escape on its own. Dr. Mecha's forehead was full of tears. It's sweat. The research of generations of our doctors, just escaped like that. Where is its location? Don't tell me that you didn't leave any location measures on it, Dwight roared angrily. The distance is too far, and our positioning is greatly affected by the rules of the reverse world. But please don't worry, King Dwight. We have sent people. Once we get close to the Dream of Ultron in the reverse world, we will be able to discover it. Accurate positioning. This is the research of several generations in the North American region of the elf world. They explored countless elf secret realms, and finally spied the secret of the Gate of Life in the secret realm of the Sky City. Through a series of cloning methods, they exhausted a large amount of resources and created a historical creation. The first elf created by humans. This is the secret weapon used in North America to fight against gods. This is an important step in their attempt to dominate the elf world. Now, Ultron's dream ran away. Mr. Dwight, we have some good news here. Compared with the information we obtained before, the environment here in the reversal world is very different. Our elf explorers have discovered no less than 10 strange things. Powerful elf. They don't belong to the reverse world, it's like, they belong to another elf world. Another elven world. Dwight was filled with excitement. An elven secret realm that no one has probably set foot in yet. Dr. Mecha had a slightly softened smile on his face. The secret realm of elves that no one has ever set foot on. What does that mean? At this moment, Dwight's heart was pounding.